Hello everyone, thanks for staying with us on our third talk. My name is Martin Turoci and I am software engineer at H2O Wave, as it's probably not surprising. And I am also working on our framework called H2O Wave, which is a way to build AI apps with nothing but Python. And I am responsible mostly for front-end and also some full-stacky stuff. So if you have any questions, I'm the right person to ask, definitely. So let's start with the problem. There's always some problem. And our problem is this. This is the usual data science process, as most of you are probably aware. So it all starts with getting data, then cleaning it up, then exploring it, seeing what's inside, then doing some magical ML stuff. And once all of this is done, then we need to interpret it somehow and show our results. And this is the part that H2O Wave excels at, or tries to make your life much easier. So basically, if you want to interpret your ML results, you can take two routes. The first one is you can talk to the dedicated team of software developers who can build your production-ready web application for you. However, you will have to be some kind of product owner who says like what should be where, how should the app behave, because the regular software engineers do not know anything about data science, which in general can be very long and thus very expensive process, as it involves a lot of people. The second option that we feel is better is to see what you can do yourself so that the minimum people is involved. So if you decide to take the second route and do the interpretation stuff yourself, you have a few options. The simplest one is using PowerPoint, like this presentation, but it can be better. Yeah, it's way too static. Another very common option is going to Jupyter Notebook, making some screenshots, and again pasting it to PowerPoint. Maybe a bit better, but still not great option is using a third-party business intelligence tool, which may be very fast when it comes to loading all your results and data. However, it may be troublesome when you need to make some even small customizations, as it usually has all the stuff built in. The last option is, okay, well, it seems like everybody nowadays can be a software developer, so why not me? And go for some web framework like Django, for instance, since I suppose most of you are familiar with Python already. Django seems like a reasonable option. However, trust me, it's not, because it requires like a lot of web concepts and deep web knowledge. So don't go there if you like yourself. Yeah. So, there comes the wave. Wave to the rescue. If I were to pitch the wave in 15 seconds, it would be something like that. What if I told you it's possible to build web applications with nothing but Python? You don't need to know HTML, no CSS, no JavaScript, no anything, only Python. Once you have this app ready, you can connect it to your organization authorization service, like OpenID Connect, in less than 2 minutes. It literally takes only copy-pasting 4 configuration values, and that's it. And last point, you can maybe, I hope so, have some fun along the way, as we try to provide the whole ecosystem and tooling around Wave very nice experience. But I cannot say enough talking, but let's dive into code and see yourself like what is Wave and how how it feels like working in it. I need to put down my mic, so make sure that my voice is strong enough. So what I have prepared here is VS Code editor. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. There is nothing but empty folder called Meetup. Just let me know if it's visible enough, or do you need a bigger font size? Yes. I guess it's perfect. I can see it perfectly, so at least. Okay, so the first thing that you might want to do in every single Python project is check that you have Python installed. Okay, so make sure to type it wrong. Let's see what version we are using. 3.9 seems reasonable to me. I'm lucky that I have it already installed. So Wave requires Python 3.7, so we are good. Next part is making, we probably want to make some virtual environment. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it is. Then we can activate it. And the only thing that we need for installing H2O Wave is running pip install H2O Wave. Cool. We got something. We got some warning. My pip is not up to date. And this is all I need to do for installing Wave. Single line of pip install. So let's build our first application. Let's create our app.py. There we go. And here comes the fun. One of the things that can make your life in Wave easier is using our dedicated tooling. We support VS Code and PyCharm via extensions, which means that you can install extension which is called H2O Wave, I suppose. Yeah, there is it. I have it installed, so make sure to have it installed as well. And what that allows me to do, it allows me to be lazy basically, because even though I work on a Wave every single day for almost 2 years now, I don't remember the syntax. Like literally, I cannot write the basic template for basic app, so I need to use snippets. So luckily for me, I have the snippets at hand for me, which goes w-app base, and this is the minimal code that I need for my initial Wave application. You can see that there is an import statement, regular stuff. Then we have this one single function called serve, which is the main entry point for Wave, every Wave application. Then we have this app annotation, which allows me to specify a route at which my web application will listen on. We can leave it either as it is on the root, or do something fancy like, and very creative, like Meetup. Okay, and now let's start with the basic Hello World example, as it's common practice. So in Wave, the basic building block is called page, like web page, naturally, and in every single web page we have components called cards. So let's see. Let's create the page, and the page is a dictionary of cards. So we can do like card 1, and we can start with the form card, which basically gives me a component that allows me to create a form, HTML form. So it has two parameters. One is called box, which allows me to specify layout options, like I want to place this card at column 1, row 1, and let's give it a width and height of 2 units. And now I can specify what components it should contain, and we want to go simply with the text. With content hello world, great, and that should be it. Cool. So we hit the save and see whether it works. So to start the Wave application, we only need to run wave run and then the file name. This starts Wave application server for us. And let's go to the browser. Our application should be at localhost 101.1/meetup. There we go. So this is the very minimal example of Hello World application. It takes how many lines? Like 7 lines, which is not bad. Another very cool feature is code reload. That means that you can edit this code at hand, hit save, and your application will be automatically reloaded. You don't need to restart it manually. So it may sound like not too much, but in your day-to-day development, it is, trust me. So this is the very basic Hello World application, nothing interesting. I mean, we will not do here anything interesting, but we'll see some basic concepts anyway. So let's show some interaction. So let's say we want to add a button. Yeah, very interesting stuff. So button with name button1, and we give it the label. GitHub copilot is not working for me today very well. And label will be button1. There we go, hit save. Cool, we have this button. And the main concept that is important to understand in Wave is that whenever something happens on the client side in the browser, this serve function is called again. Yeah? So let's handle this button click. So once this button is clicked, we need to check if Q, which is this single object that we use for interaction with the whole Wave application, and its key args contains this name that we gave to the button. So let's see, button1. And if the button was clicked, let's create another card, and that would be like very creative card 2, and see like button was clicked. So let's see if it works. Let's click it, and we just to know to see it a bit better, let's create a new card on the column 3 so that it's not above this initial card. And let's see, there we go, another card. You can also capture an input. So let's say we want a text box here with name text box. Make sure to name it better than me and don't be lazy. My text box. Okay, so we have this text box, and we know that every time something happens on the UI, we get this QArgs field. So we can replace this content with QArgs text box. And let's see, so hi meetup. And there we go, this is our text. So this is like the very minimal knowledge required to write basic Wave applications, and probably 70% of what your day-to-day job will look like. However, you might think like, okay, cool, but what's so nice about this? You can print out some text and get some text, but this is not entirely true. If you go to our documentation and see the widgets, you can see that we have like a lot of cards ready for you, like for example header, we have navigation, with all the different parameters, breadcrumbs, etc. So there is a lot to use. We support a lot, basically quite a high number of plots and visualization. We have our own native visualizations that use Grammar of Graphics by Leland Wilkinson, if you are aware. Or if you don't want to use our native plots and would like to reuse your existing knowledge, then Wave also supports Altair, OK, D3, Matplotlib, Plotly, or Vega, whatever you want, you can have it. So make sure to go through the documentation. We have also dialogues, side panels, whatever you may think of, you probably have it. And if not, you can request feature request and I will add it. Probably. So, if this is not enough for you, I hope not, then we have also another nice part about Wave is that we use it for Wave itself even. And what that means, you can download the Wave apps that are built by us via Wave fetch command. And let's quickly copy it to our root folder so that it's there. We need to also pip install any requirements that these examples have. Thankfully, I have everything cached, so it shouldn't take long. Come on, come on. Future is done. I should probably say some joke now, but nothing comes to my mind.
So we are hiring. If anybody's interested, they should come to me.
That's a joke.
No, it's not. That's reality, but we're waiting for something. I don't know what we're waiting for, but it's interesting for most of you, I hope. So if you
Thanks, Petra.
jobs, come to me.
And if you don't want to work for us, you can work for us for free because Wave is open source.
Yes, yes.
That's even better option.
That's an option too.
Okay, cool. So seems like we are good. So let's run it. One of the application that I want to run is called Tour. It's in the examples folder, so that's why I need to write examples that. There is like 200 examples for you to try and play around with, so make sure to do that. Every single one. And the application is listening on /tour, and this basically contains all of the examples which are interactive for you to play with. Here you can search through them, and the whole application is built in Wave, naturally. So this is also good to know about. And that's the end of, there is one more thing that I also forgot about. So let's get back to our application. And the one last cool thing that I wanted to show, especially for Lazo, because he is not aware. If you don't want to start from scratch, which you probably don't want and shouldn't, because I assume you are lazy as me and don't remember the syntax, then you can use the snippets again. And let's say we want application with header and sidebar, and this snippet gives me more than 200 lines of code that I can run and see what's inside. So Wave run app, not this one. This should be at the root route, and this is basically the application that you get for free. You have navigation working out of the box. All you need to do is basically fill it with your own data. You have this very nice avatar, Johnny. Then you can see like how to use plots, groups, and whatever, different kinds of layouts, grid, form, etc. So all you need to do is fill your own data and you are good to go. So so now you know.
And which way we can add some, some like CSS features, background colors and so on.
I see that you weren't listening to me because I said you don't need to know this stuff. However, good question. And the answer is, we try to make your life easier, right? And CSS doesn't make your life easy. I am a software engineer and it doesn't make my life easy even though I am a specialist in it. But if you really want, really want.
Like I don't want just...
Yeah, basically, you have to be, or should be happy with how we style the components. But if you are really not happy, then we got you covered. And that's the great question. So, you can load your own style sheet and make your life harder yourself. So you can either load it via a CDN or any script, or even use inline CSS if you want to. This should be this. Yeah, so basically it looks like you create your string as a CSS compatible string and then put it to a card called meta card. Yeah?
No, I'm not asking about that at all.
Yeah.
I'm asking which way in Python we can make the things that we normally do in CSS.
You don't do that because they are all done for you.
Only 70% is done, you said.
No, 100%.
So wait, what if I want to, I don't know, change the background color in Python?
Let's see. So let's use this app. And basically, in Wave, we really try to make life easy. Yeah? And that means that we have this meta card. This is basically like configuration for your application, which is not truly visible. Like it's not a card that is physically there in the screen, but allows for some extra configurations. And one of these configurations is called theme. And if you notice, so this is how our app looks like now, and now we can like use Monokai theme, for example, and it looks like this, yeah? Or we support, I don't even remember what was the proper name, but let's see, yeah. This is not very well because this is blended together, right? Obviously. But basically, you can either use one of our predefined themes, not like this. This should be in color theming, yeah. So these are all the colors that we support. Or if you are not happy with these colors, you can specify your own. And these are like, you can take 4 main colors, like primary, text, card, and background page color, set it here, and use it as you wish. Yeah, so basically, our default web application theme is black and white, which is boring, but it works. You know. And you can also not only load external CSS if you want to, but if you want to do really crazy stuff, like is coming to next version of Wave, so stay tuned. You can even add external JavaScript and work with it and integrate JavaScript libraries to work with Wave in Python. And that means that you can basically, let me see. In JavaScript, you can call something like Wave emit, and this will basically call your Python code so that you can make your third-party JavaScript libraries work seamlessly with Wave and its Python, if that makes clear. If not, it's very hard concept, so that's it. Any other question? Good question, by the way. Okay, I guess more questions to be asked later. So what did I want to continue with? Presentation. So that's about the demo. Now let's see some use cases that we found Wave interesting for. And the first use case was the initial reason why we built Wave, and it was for data scientists to quickly build some toy applications and POCs without the help of regular software engineers. This is one of the first applications. This is also open sourced. I will link is there, but I will have a slide at the end with all the links, so no worries. And this application basically shows some data about telecommunication customer churn. However, another very popular use case was that people wanted to have support for real-time dashboards. So this is one thing that Wave really excels at, and it's very low latency and allows you to push changes from your Python code directly to user's browser, like with ease. As the time went by, we found that data scientists are much better software engineers than we initially thought, and that's like mind-blowing for me, because hydrogen torch application that you could see before this talk is a prime example of how we would like Wave to be used. These guys have no experience with web development whatsoever, and were able, without any external help, to code application that looks pretty good, works well, and can, I would say, deliver pretty astonishing results. And one very surprising fact, even for me, was that when I asked how much time it took them to create the initial POC for this application, they said 2 or 3 weeks, but this is not only UI, also the ML magic included. So I would say the UI part took half of the time, maybe, which is pretty astonishing, at least for me. So let's talk about deployment a little bit, because this seems to be very popular question when it comes to Wave. And the answer is you can deploy it anywhere. You can deploy your Wave application on Heroku, you can use AWS EC2 instance, or basically any VM with Windows, Linux, or Mac operating system. However, it may require some extra knowledge, which we try to compensate with future blocks, so stay tuned. And I have to also mention, as there was already mentioned today, we have our H2O cloud environment, which serves exactly this purpose. It allows you to deploy web applications seamlessly with the CLI tool, which is basically like single command, and there you go. You have your application deployed to the cloud, ready to be viewed by your colleagues or basically anyone with access to the cloud. It looks like this, but you already seen that before. And that's it. So some useful resources, make sure to check out our Wave repo. We have discussions where you can ask questions, beg for help, and maybe even report some bug or discuss some possible improvements. We'll be more than happy to collaborate. Then there is the docs that I have already showed. Public open source apps. This is a set of web applications that might be useful for you to see how full-blown web applications look like in practice from code standpoint. And then here is a cloud documentation, so it's worth checking out as well.